Well, here today we're going to be talking about Impact Wrestling December 3rd, 2019 episode. I do understand that we have, I haven't done an episode on Impact Wrestling for the last 2 weeks, being the 12th of, the 19th of November and the Thanksgiving week, which wasn't much of anything for Impact Wrestling. The November 19th episode had Tessa Blanchard become the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship against Sami Callihan. Now, jump start all the way, or fast forward to December 3rd, we have the show kicked off with Eddie Edwards and Brian Cage. This match was okay. I didn't have any issues with it except for the ending, which got turned into a triple threat match because of Michael Elgin's interference, and then it was turned into a triple threat match, something WWE is very familiar to doing outside of maybe doing tag team wrestling all the time instead of making it triple threat matches or what have you. So very similar, unique model here that Impact Wrestling went with here on this situation. So, we had Elgin roll Edwards up, and he kicks out. Cage flies off the top rope and lands on Elgin and Edwards on the outside. Basically, I'm not going to go through all this spiel, who won the like what happened during the matchup. It was okay. Like I said, Michael Elgin wins this match by doing the Elgin bomb on Edwards and getting the 1-2-3. Still not able to defeat Brian Cage in their whole operandi and their conflicts and you know what, their matches that they've had with each other. Brian Cage has beat him every time. So they have a segment where they're at a treehouse with Trey and the rest of the Rascals talking about Trey's mom. Trey's mom actually enters this treehouse where they have this little moment of smoking pot and what have you. And the whole thing's about Ace Austin being very interested in Trey's mom now instead of being interested in Eddie Edwards' wife. This whole thing is just downright redundant. I think it's kind of stupid. I think it's a little bit waste of time for Ace Austin's talent and capability. His storyline and gimmick is really off the charts weird. I don't particularly think it's all that great or entertaining anymore at this point. So it's kind of weak, but whatever. So Trey's mom enters the treehouse. Trey tells his mom that he doesn't think it would be a good idea for her to be supporting them at ringside. His mom asks if he's embarrassed by her. He says no. You can tell just by looking at this person who's portraying his mom has no resemblance whatsoever, not even close, that he's his mom. Or she is his mom. So Trey caves and says that if she wants to be there at ringside, she can be. She tells the boys that after they're done hanging out, she's going to make Trey's favorite meal, meatloaf. Oh my god. Can we whip out Will Ferrell from the fucking Wedding Crashers and have him say, "Hey mom, where's the meatloaf?" and all that shit. Anyway, so now they have a segment where Moose is walking down the streets of New York City, talking about how he was coming up short towards the World Championship opportunity, that he was able to become a number one contender, but unfortunately he was eliminated, I think, first or second in that whole entire gauntlet match that they had. He heads over to a basketball court to redeem himself and his greatness. He asks a few New York locals if he can play ball with them. They agree. and he tells them that he was a former NBA player, which is a crock of shit. He was actually a NFL football player. And one of the guys says he's a little nervous playing ball with them because he saw what he did to the tennis coach a while back. Moose tells them to not worry. He places a bet. If he makes a three-pointer, he'll take them out for beers, and he makes the shot. Instead of keeping his word, he just attacks the players and assaults them in the middle of a public place. Now, someone please tell me, why wasn't... let's think logically. I understand that this is a show. These were paid actors and everything. But in logical sense, if you're out in public and you're assaulting people in public, shouldn't you be getting arrested for assault and battery? You know, something of that kind of nature. Not to mention, if they went along with the logic, it would make Moose probably a lot better as a fucking prick, because he's attacking regular citizens, people who are not wrestlers, and beating the shit out of them in the middle of public. I think that would be a great idea for him. It would also be innovative as wrestling goes. They could go ahead and suspend him for, out of work activities that he was doing that was not becoming of a superstar. This would be a great way of cutting him out completely of the Impact Wrestling roster. If they had him on his last remaining weeks of his contract, that would be a very great way to have him be sent off. But then again, he would also look pretty damn good doing it, so I don't know if that would be a good idea either. I don't know. Leave your comments and opinions down below on that one. But me personally, I think this whole assaulting people in public is kind of ridiculous when he should be getting arrested for assault and battery. Then they had ODB. She came out, cut a promo about her independent business that she had that was taking off. It was food service on the road type thing. I guess servicing poor people and also other businesses and so forth. I guess I'm not sure 100%. But she's cutting this promo, and she has a situation that happens with her and Taya Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie comes out, interferes in the promo, pretty much hyping up that all the purchases of the tickets to come to the show is all being donated to her and her business because of the fact that her trailer that she was using to conduct her business out of was set on fire. Taya Valkyrie was very, rude, very obnoxious. She's portraying this character at a T. She's definitely not a woman that you want to be around outside of maybe beating the shit out of her because she's so fucking annoying. But instead of wanting to get arrested or thrown in jail, you want to stay the fuck away from her because she's so fucking annoying. So she pretty much kind of brags on her about how if she wants to donate enough money so she could buy her a fire extinguisher so she could put out the fire on her trailer, so the next time she won't have to go ahead and beg anyone for money to repair her trailer so she can still conduct her business. This led to the main event of being Taya Valkyrie versus ODB. So that was announced as a one-on-one match. I thought that was kind of neat to give ODB an opportunity to compete one-on-one in the middle of a main event, giving the Women's World Champion the opportunity in the main event of their show, and on top of it, giving ODB, who is truthfully a legend of their Knockouts division, a chance to shine in their main event of their show. So I thought that was pretty cool on them. Very respectful and very considerate. So we had the best segment of the night. I will say this was probably the best segment of the night because they did something I've talked about. I believe I've mentioned this on previous videos in the past, like years ago. you'd have to go through 600 plus videos that I have on this channel. So I wouldn't recommend going ahead and doing that unless you don't mind looking at all the videos I've uploaded in the past and have an interest in seeing what I had to say then. But other than that, they actually conducted a conference, a press conference for the World Heavyweight Championship match between Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard at Hard to Kill on January 12th of 2020. I will have to go on to say that this was a really decent, entertaining segment and very, very full of realistic and hardcore, vicious, vulgar language that I would not recommend any child to go watch. And once again, by the way, just to mention, just as a side note, I'm kind of going off the rails here. My channel is not for children. I got my channel set for not for children because I cuss. I'm not really exactly what you would call a role model for kids to watch my show. So I'm just going on the record to say in this video alone, I am not a person for children content. I don't particularly want children watching my channel anyway because of the fact that what I say and do here is not suitable for children. I understand that some wrestling companies that I review, such as WWE, children actually watch the show, but the way I conduct my show is not exactly what you would say child-friendly. So I would not recommend any child watching this station. Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan went ahead and they cut their promo and a press media conference with Matthews and Scott D'Amore hosting the Hard to Kill press conference. The focus of this conference is on the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, of course, and Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan take turns speaking. Callihan does not like how he has to wait to talk. He actually was put second, and truthfully, that's how it should be done because he is the champion. She's the challenger. The challenger should have a right to say, just like the challenger is the first to come out in an entrance into the ring. So that's how I would see it, but the way Sami Callihan felt is, oh, she's a woman, let her go speak her mind, whatever. Yeah, okay. Kind of attitude. So I thought that was kind of a shitty-ass thing that they did. Tessa Blanchard, she goes in her statement saying that Sami Callihan is a very great wrestler. As a professional wrestler, he is good at what he does. He is a very hard-working performer, and he is great in the ring. She says the one thing about Sami Callihan she does not like as a personal reason is his vulgar and disrespectful attitude towards everyone around him, which you have to agree. He is if you watch Impact Wrestling, he's a very vulgar, disrespectful, unprofessional maniac who will go ahead and do unimaginable things, which is what makes him a great heel in this company. So Callihan goes on to say that he feels that Blanchard is a spoiled brat and an ungrateful modern-day wrestler. She is great at what she does, but was hand-given everything in the spots that she was given because she's a third-generation wrestler of a big wrestling family. So she's very favored in a lot of different things, which is true. If you look at WWE with Charlotte Flair, people will say that about Charlotte Flair. She is a given person because of the fact she's a second-generation wrestler in her family. So, with that being said, it kind of makes her look like she's been given everything instead of working hard for it. And truthfully, I will admit, to a certain extent, yeah, she has worked for it, but at the same time, the amount of title wins she's received have been fucking unreal and completely ridiculous. And number two, most of them have not been memorable or even been lengthy of a championship reign to be even called a title reign. Her last title reign was a fucking joke. It had no business being around her waist for the 10th time and then losing it in like 2 to 3 days or something like that, whatever. She lost in less than a week, okay? Let me just put it that way. Tessa Blanchard has worked very hard in what she does. She's a very hard-working performer. She is performing at a very high level. She is one of the greatest... I think she's one of the best women wrestlers today. There ain't no woman wrestler right now today that can go in a ring with a bunch of grown men, unless you go back to the early 90s and the early 2000s with Chyna. She performed with the men very well. Tessa Blanchard ain't anywhere near Chyna's stature, and yet she is still believable in the ring with all these men. And her match with Sami Callihan earlier in the year, in the summer Slammiversary, was fucking unbelievable performance by her. And she went through unimaginable pain with Sami Callihan, and Sami Callihan walked out victorious. This matchup, looks like Tessa Blanchard could win the men's world title. That I will say. Now, I don't like the idea of Tessa Blanchard winning the title. Not because she's a woman. So don't go ahead and say I'm a sexist or anything. I'm not saying that. Sami Callihan has not had a lengthy title reign. Now, unless you're going to go ahead, make him lose the title to Tessa Blanchard, and then get the title back in less than a couple of months, I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. If you want to do an exchange of the title between two people that have an extraordinary rivalry going on this show, which it probably has the best rivalry going among everyone on this roster, I guess I would be okay with that. But that remains to be seen. Now, my personal opinion, I wouldn't give the title to her. I don't see the point of her being a men's world champion when she's a woman. That's like, then you should give the women's world title to a man. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and say, I'm being sexist because I don't think Tessa Blanchard should win the world title, then you should give a man the women's title. I mean, you're not going to see that. So, at the end of the day, I don't think that this is needed. I don't think Tessa Blanchard needs to win the World Heavyweight title. I think it's history in the making to see a woman competing for a world title, but for her to win it, I don't really agree with the idea. So I hope no one thinks I am a sexist when I say that. So, because that's not what I'm trying to do. Would I think it would be amazing? Would it be shocking to me? Yeah. I mean, it would be shocking to see Tessa Blanchard win the World Heavyweight Championship from Sami Callihan. It'd be her first win ever. They've competed twice. This is their third meeting in the last 6 months. So, would I be impressed with that? Yeah. I think Tessa Blanchard should have won at Slammiversary, to be honest with you. This matchup should be the revenge match where, and a big fight feel where it's not number one contender or any of that bullshit, but we actually see Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard as the main event, and Sami Callihan getting his revenge loss from her in the main event of this pay-per-view. That would have been neat to do. But in this situation, I don't know which is the right way to go. My personal feelings is that you have Sami Callihan retain the title, but in the same breath, it takes away that big moment, I will admit, from Tessa Blanchard and Impact Wrestling doing something completely different and off the walls, which has never been done before. Now, if they go along with it, like I said, I would be okay with it as long as they're giving the title back to Sami Callihan at the end of Tessa Blanchard's reign. Because Sami Callihan is the best male wrestler on the Impact roster right now. He is the best one. There ain't nobody better. He does the best mic work. He's a hardcore wrestler. He reminds me a lot of Jon Moxley. So, and I'd love to see Jon Moxley and Sami Callihan have a fucking hardcore match. That would be awesome. So, that's just me. Anyway, furthermore, Sami Callihan, after saying that she's a spoiled and ungrateful modern-day wrestler, Callihan says that he's going to crack her fucking skull open. He said, crack her fucking skull open, yes. And they bleeped it out, of course. But he said, I'm going to crack her fucking skull open. Wow. Way to go, Jack Torrance from The Shining. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to crack your fucking brains in. Well, okay. Whatever. So, Josh Matthews and the other guy that was with him, D'Amore, separate the two of them after Callahan's statement. And she flips out on him, and she had every right to, because what he said was totally unprofessional. She was more professional than he was. And he was just downright fucking insane with that comment. But I say one thing, it fucking worked. I'll tell you that much. Next match was Ace Austin, Reno Scum versus the Rascals with Trey's mom by ringside. Now, I will go ahead and say this match was a very entertaining matchup. Good action overall. Ace Austin and Reno Scum actually pick up the victory. Trey goes after Austin on the outside with a Thor's toe. Schoolboy pins Thorn's toe. Actually, Schoolboy pins Wentz and steals the victory to get the 1-2-3, and that's how that match ends technically. But the action overall from there before the ending was actually very decent. I actually had a lot of fun watching that match. It kept my attention throughout most. Okay, so then we go backstage. Jordynne Grace comes in to give money to ODB and her cause. Before she can do that, ODB informs Grace that she knows she's after Valkyrie. She says she'll try to save a little piece of Valkyrie for Grace later on. Grace says that's not why she's there speaking to her. She just wanted to say she's a big fan and wanted to help out with her cause. Okay, well, big deal. That didn't seem to grab my attention much. Then we had Joey Ryan backstage, seeming completely unmotivated, doesn't want to work, didn't seem like his typical porno-style self that he portrays as his gimmick. And he's sitting there looking on his phone, and Johnny Swinger goes ahead and Johnny Swinger is actually a 1980s, 1990s type bodybuilder gimmick that this guy is portraying. It completely ridiculous. Comes over and talks to him about these modern day wrestlers and how they are nothing like them. Experience. Swinger says that he and Ryan should form a group, especially tonight during Swinger's match against Petey Williams. Petey Williams has been around since fucking the early 2000s, man. How can you say he's a modern day wrestler? This guy is almost at the end of his career, technically. He's got 5 to 10 years left, maybe, if he's lucky. Hey, saying that made no sense to me. Ryan says he would help, but didn't seem very enthusiastic about the response back to Swinger about what he was going to do, helping him out. After Swinger leaves, Ryan goes back on his phone, and that's pretty much that. Whoop-de-fuck-you-do. Like, I don't understand this whole thing that's going on. Then we have Rob Van Dam and Katie Forbes come out explaining why he has turned the way he has as a professional wrestler, why his attitude has changed, and why he's such a fucking dick. So, RVD knows that he's the cream of the crop because all the wrestlers are stealing his moves, and that's his main reason. The whole focal point of this heel turn is that he's just fed up of everybody copying his moves, which is true. A lot of people do copy his moves. The 5-star frog splash, the spinning back kicks stuff that he does, and all of his signature moves. A lot of people do copy. I will have to admit that. Tommy Dreamer's music hits, though, and he makes his way down to the ring. Dreamer challenges RVD to a match next week, but Dreamer wants to be the guest referee. He has a different opponent in mind, Rhino. RVD passes. Rhino makes his way out and attacks RVD anyway, and security comes out and separates the two, and that's how that segment closes. I will go on to say this. This gimmick by RVD sucks. It is bland. It is way, way too fucking lame and way late for a heel change like this. I think this heel change should have happened many, many years ago. Either in TNA, now known as Impact Wrestling, or in WWE. That would have been a great way to do this. Right now, at this late stage in his career, I don't really particularly think that it matters. I think they missed this opportunity a long time ago, and it's a dead deal. It's not going to create any buzz. Nobody's going to care. Nobody gives a shit. So we recap. So the next thing is a recap footage is shown of Rich Swann in the 6-man gauntlet match from 2 weeks ago. Willie Mack applauds Swann for how hard he fought in that match, and the North interrupt and taunt Swann and Mack. That actually pushes their attention on the tag team titles because there's an actual open challenge to determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles at Hard to Kill. Now, they do mention about Rich Swann getting an opportunity at No Surrender. By the way, I do apologize about the mistake that I made last night on the NXT review for saying that I would do the review on Turning Point. That is not Turning Point, it's No Surrender for today. So I will be revealing a video review on that. I will be watching that event to see how everything went. I don't know if I'll upload it tonight or I'll upload it tomorrow in the morning, but I will get around to that before this weekend is over. So keep an eye out for that. So they pretty much mentioned that they're going to... Swann informs the North that they're going to come after the tag team titles, and that was pretty much the end of that gimmick. It wasn't much of anything. So, Fallah Bahh is being interviewed by a reporter and asks him if he plans to fight back after what the Desi Hit Squad did to him. Desi Hit Squad is a dead fucking group, and most of what's on Impact is a dead issue anyway. But at first, Bahh replies with just a bah. But then he says that yes, he's going to fight back. He finally actually speaks, which is not the first time I've heard this. This has been done, I think, once or twice more before this whole promo happened. And, yeah, I think it's a little retarded that they have the guy standing there going, bah, bah, and not having him talk after he just started talking before. That's like Kofi Kingston going about speaking in a Jamaican accent, and then finally speaking his normal accent, and then going back to the Jamaican accent all over again. Which, by the way, would be a cool idea if they ever decide to turn Kofi Kingston heel. They could change his accent back to the Jamaican character. I think that would be kind of cool. Make him some Jamaican prick if they wanted to go about that. So then we go to the main event. Well, actually, we do have Johnny Swinger versus Petey Williams. They did have a Impact Plus special feature showing a match from ODB from back in the day with Mickie James for the Knockouts Championship, I believe from 2012 or 2013, one of those 2 years. But it was definitely around that time. And Petey Williams defeats Johnny Swinger, which was nothing of a match. I didn't even watch it. I skipped it completely. Then we had ODB and Taya Valkyrie. This matchup ended up with Taya Valkyrie losing to ODB, which I think was the right decision. And it was on account of the fact that she was distracted by Jordynne Grace holding up the Impact Knockouts Championship above her head and acting as if she's the champion. Eddie Bravo, I believe his name is, or Johnny Bravo, whatever the fuck his name is, goes ahead and he's the manager to Taya Valkyrie, and he's interacting with ODB in a fucking weird situation with drinking alcohol and having his face rubbed in tits, in ODB's tits, I should say. And he wanted it done a second time around. The women's championship's lying on the ground. Jordynne Grace sees an opportunity to distract the champion with her holding the title up. And he actually grabs the title initially and says, "I'm the champ! I'm the champ! I'm the champion!" Blah, blah, blah. And the fans are chanting along with him that he's the champ. So the whole time, Valkyrie is distracted. ODB rolls Valkyrie up in a schoolgirl pin and picks up the victory, and that's how the match ends. The match was decent. It was okay for a main event matchup, but I mean, it wasn't really necessary. It really, nothing on this show seemed to really stand out heavily except for 3 matches, which was this match here, the 6-man tag team match with Ace Austin and Rio Scum versus the Rascals, and then the matchup with Michael Elgin, Brian Cage, and Eddie Edwards. So that's pretty much the overall consensus of this show. Did I like it? It was kind of okay. Was it anything better than Monday Night Raw? Probably, most definitely, I think. I think Monday Night Raw sucks heavily, and that's just my overall opinion on that. But anyway, guys, hit the like button if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below if you want to say anything, and I'll get back to you on that. And also on top of that, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel. I upload 4 videos a week at least to provide wrestling content to you guys and just my overall opinion on the shows. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. I know it's in the middle of the afternoon right now. It's about 12:52, almost 1 o'clock. But anyway, have a great night. I'll see you again, wrestling fans. Thank you. Bye.